Picture this. It's 2010, and someone just bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Today, those same Bitcoin would be worth over 600 million. That's more than the entire market of Papa John's at the time. But here's the crazy part. Bitcoin wasn't created to make people rich. It was created to solve a problem that had been plaguing digital money for decades. And in solving that problem, it accidentally started the biggest financial revolution since the invention of credit cards. I'm going to explain exactly what Bitcoin is, how it works, and why it matters, without the hype, without the technical jargon, and definitely without telling you to buy or sell anything. Let's start with the fundamental problem Bitcoin was designed to solve. Imagine you want to send $100 to your friend across the country. With traditional money, you can't just email them the cash. You need a bank or payment processor to verify the transaction. Why? Because digital money has a huge problem called double spending. Think about it like this. If I have a digital file that says I have $100, I could theoretically copy that file and spend it twice. It's like having a photocopier for money, not exactly ideal for a stable economy. For decades, the only solution was to have a trusted third party, like a bank, keep track of who owns what. Every time you want to spend money digitally, the bank checks the records, deducts from your account, and adds to someone else's account. The bank is the referee making sure nobody cheats. But this system has problems. Banks charge fees. Transactions can take days, especially internationally. Banks can freeze your account. They can be hacked. They can go out of business. And not everyone in the world has access to banking services. In 2008, an anonymous person or group using the name Satoshi Nakamoto published a 9-page document called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This wasn't just another cryptocurrency proposal. It was a solution to the double spending problem that didn't require trusting any central authority. So how does Bitcoin solve the double spending problem without banks? The answer is brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of one bank keeping track of transactions, thousands of computers around the world all keep identical copies of every Bitcoin transaction that's ever happened. This shared record is called the blockchain. Here's how it works step by step. When you want to send Bitcoin to someone, you broadcast that transaction to the entire network. But before that transaction gets added to the permanent record, it needs to be verified. This is where Bitcoin miners come in. These aren't people with pickaxes. They're computers solving complex mathematical puzzles. Think of it like a race where thousands of computers are competing to solve the same math problem. The first computer to solve the puzzle gets to add the next block of transactions to the blockchain and receives newly created Bitcoin as a reward. This process happens approximately every 10 minutes. But here's the genius part. Once a block is added to the chain, it becomes extremely difficult to change. Each block contains a unique fingerprint of the previous block, creating an unbreakable chain. To change one transaction, you need to redo all the mathematical work for that block and every block that came after it, while the rest of the network continues adding new blocks. It's like trying to change a word in the middle of a book while someone keeps adding new pages faster than you can rewrite the old ones. Mathematically, it becomes impossible. This system is called proof of work because miners have to prove they did the computational work to earn the right to add transactions to the blockchain. This design gives Bitcoin some remarkable properties that traditional money doesn't have. Decentralization. No single entity controls Bitcoin. There's no Bitcoin CEO, no Bitcoin headquarters, no Bitcoin customer service. The network is maintained by thousands of independent participants around the world. Transparency. Every Bitcoin transaction is recorded on a public ledger that anyone can view. You can see exactly how much Bitcoin moved from one address to the other, though the identities behind those addresses remain pseudonymous. Scarcity. Unlike traditional currencies where central banks can print more money, Bitcoin has a hard cap of 20 million coins. This limit is built into the code and cannot be changed without consensus from the majority of the network. Borderless. Bitcoin transactions work the same whether you're sending money across the street or across the world. There are no foreign exchange rates, no international wire fees, and no business hours. Censorship resistance. Because Bitcoin doesn't rely on any central authority, it's extremely difficult for governments or institutions to stop Bitcoin transactions. But these properties come with trade-offs. Bitcoin transactions are lower than credit card payments, taking 10 minutes to an hour for confirmation instead of seconds. The network can only process about 7 transactions per second, compared to Visa's 65,000, and Bitcoin's energy consumption from mining is substantial. Now, here's where things get interesting and controversial. Bitcoin was designed as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, but most people today don't use it to buy coffee. They buy it as an investment, hoping the price will go up. Why do people think Bitcoin will increase in value? Several reasons. Digital scarcity. Bitcoin is the first truly scarce digital asset. With only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist, some people view it as digital gold, a store of value in an increasingly digital world. Inflation hedge. As governments print more traditional currency, some investors buy Bitcoin, hoping it will maintain purchasing power better than cash. Network effects. As more people, companies, and institutions adopt Bitcoin, the theory goes that it will become more valuable, like how a telephone becomes more useful as more people have telephones. Institutional adoption. Major companies like Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Square have added Bitcoin to their balance sheets. Countries like El Salvador have made it legal tender. But let's be honest about the risks. Bitcoin's price is incredibly volatile. It's dropped 80% or multiple times in its history. Regulatory uncertainty remains high. The technology, while innovative, is still experimental on a global scale. Regardless of whether Bitcoin succeeds as money or as an investment, it's already changed the world in fundamental ways. Bitcoin proved that you can create a monetary system without central control. This insight has spawned thousands of other cryptocurrencies, each experimenting with different approaches to digital money. It's forced traditional financial institutions to innovate. Central banks around the world are now developing their own digital currencies. Payment companies are integrating cryptocurrency services. Banks that once dismissed Bitcoin are now offering it to clients. Bitcoin also has highlighted important questions about the nature of money itself. What gives money value? Who should control monetary policy? How much privacy should financial transactions have? These aren't just technical questions, they're fundamental questions about how society should organize its economic systems. Today, Bitcoin remains deeply controversial. Supporters see it as the future of money, a way to separate money from state control and create a more open, global financial system. They point to its perfect track record of uptime, its growing adoption, and its potential to bank the unbanked. Critics argue that Bitcoin is too slow, too energy-intensive, and too volatile to ever function as everyday money. They worry about its use in illegal activities, its environmental impact, and the possibility that it's just a speculative bubble. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Bitcoin has proven that decentralized digital money is possible, but whether Bitcoin itself becomes the dominant form of money remains an open question. Here's what we know for certain. Bitcoin introduced the world to blockchain technology and proved that you don't need banks to transfer value digitally. Whether you think it's the future of money or a fascinating experiment, it's undeniably changed how we think about currency, technology, and financial systems. The revolution that started with a 9-page white paper and 2 pizzas is still unfolding. And regardless of where Bitcoin's price goes from here, the ideas it introduced aren't going anywhere. If this helped you understand Bitcoin better, hit that like button and subscribe for more clear explanations of complex topics. And let me know in the comments, what aspect of cryptocurrency should I explain next? Thanks for watching, and remember, this isn't financial advice. It's just education about one of the most important technological innovations of our time.